You know that feeling, right? You want to meditate more, but your to-do list is just exploding. We're getting into that today.
This is Osman. He's a teacher and an entrepreneur who's all about making ancient wisdom actually work for modern life. It's the classic conflict, isn't it? The ideal calm yogi versus the reality of a totally packed schedule.
So what does that ideal practice even look like? We're talking early mornings and hours of dedicated practice. But for an entrepreneur like Osman, he says even a 48-hour day probably wouldn't be enough.
When you're trying to juggle everything, finding that time for a full practice can feel, well, impossible. Okay, so what gives? Osman's solution is actually a huge shift in perspective.
He calls it the practicality principle. Basically, focus on what works, what's efficient, and what gets you results fast.
The goal here is simple. Make your actual, real life better, right now. He's always asking himself, is this practice still serving me in my life today? So, how does this whole practicality principle play out day to day? Let's peek into his actual routine.
And this is where it gets real. Just look at the difference between his ideal and his actual practice times.
In a perfect world, he'd be doing 3 hours of energy work alone.
But the reality on a busy day, it can be just 45 minutes.
And meditation, the ideal is also about 3 hours a day.
But honestly, he says it's a huge struggle to find even one full, uninterrupted hour every day.
So the key is that it's adjustable. A 1-hour yoga routine can shrink to just 20 minutes. And he's really upfront about it. He's not a walking encyclopedia of yoga theory.
His goal is to help you build a routine that fits your life, not the other way around.
All right, so how can you actually start doing this for yourself?
It's a 3-step process. Find a teacher, pull out what works for you, and then build your own thing. Remember, you don't have to follow any single teacher like they're the final word on everything. Because really, the most important part is just to start somewhere, anywhere.
So what's one tiny, practical step you can take today? Thanks for watching The Explainer.